for all the support and guidance. In today's episode of Why Corporate Sector, we have with us an esteemed guest, Ms. Sonali Vijayakon. Ms. Vijayakon is an attorney at law, notary public, and a commissioner of votes, and holds a master's degree in the University of Colombo. Ms. Vijayakon has over 36 years of experience in the field of law, having worked at the private bar as a legal officer at the Housing Development Finance Corporation. Thereafter, she joined Sri Lanka Telecom in 1993 as a legal officer and held different positions, including the Deputy General Manager Legal, Chief Legal Officer of Sri Lanka Telecom, Group Legal Committee Member, Sri Lanka Telecom/Mobitel, and Group Chief Legal Officer, Sri Lanka Telecom/Mobitel, and position she held until 2024. Apart from the above-mentioned positions, Ms. Vijayakon also has overseas work experience, having worked as a General Manager, Legal and Regulatory of SLT Hong Kong, and as a Senior Vice President of HR and Legal at Zintac Singapore Private Limited. I warmly welcome Ms. Sonali Vijayakon for today's session. Without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Shehara Herath, who will be the interviewer for today's session, to take over. Over to you, Shehara.
Thank you so much. And once again, on behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, I would like to welcome Ms. Sonali Vijayakon, a former Group Chief Legal Officer at SLT Mobitel. And once again, we would like to welcome all the participants to this program. As the topic says, this is aimed with the objective of showing that the legal practice the legal profession is not limited to the legal practice, and it also extends to the corporate sector. And as the corporate sector in Sri Lanka is developing in a rapid phase, there are more and more opportunities, more and more room to grow for young lawyers as well as law students in the field of the corporate sector. So with that idea in mind, we have had a series of webinars with esteemed guests from different parts of the corporate sector. And today we are going to touch on the telecommunications sector, which is, I think, is one of the fastest growing areas in the world today. And telecommunications sector is now affecting each and every part of our life. And more people are getting into the telecommunication sector. And because of that, more and more legal issues arise from the telecommunication sector. More and more regulations are imposed on the telecommunication sector. And therefore, more and more room for legal expertise has arisen. So my question to you, madam, is firstly, could you just give us a very brief introduction about the current status of the telecommunication sector in Sri Lanka? Certainly, since the time you joined SLT Mobitel, when you compare it with today, there is a vast difference between the telecommunications sector and the telecommunications penetration in Sri Lanka. And also about any recent developments, if there are.
First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Bar Association and the Bar Association President, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, and also the webinar committee for giving me this opportunity. And also thank you for the generous introduction given. And I like to thank Shehara and Dimarsha and also Suri for all the hard work Isuri has done behind the scenes. So getting back to the question, yes, I have observed like quite a lot of improvements and rapid developments in the industry from the time that I have joined. In fact, to talk about the telecommunication industry first, it is a significant contributor to the Sri Lankan economy by way of tax revenues. And also, it provides around 25,000 jobs to the people in Sri Lanka. And also, it contributes to the GDP. And also, it is noteworthy to mention here the growth sector, particularly in ICT services, is a major driver of foreign exchange earnings. So, and we all know, like as you very correctly pointed out, Shara, telecommunication industry is experiencing robust growth with, I think it's the uh, projected market size by 2030 would be something like US dollars 2.15. So it is an industry with robust growth. Uh, then you asked about the recent developments. Perhaps I should briefly mention the developments from the technology side as well, because we all know the telecommunication, the technical sector developments are very important to the growth of our economy as well. So, technology-wise, there were significant investments in 4G as well as broadband. And also, I think the 5G rollout was started by the operators. And also, for international services, there was an undersea cable which was deployed, CMEV6, that is to enhance the speed and the quality of services. So that is from the technology side. Apart from that, I think I need to mention with regard to the development in law as well from the telecommunication sector. The Telecommunication Act, which was enacted in 1991, it was actually in need of certain amendments. And it was amended significantly in 2024. So if you look at these latest amendments, we notice that modernization of the regulatory framework was addressed under the amendments, and also there are provisions to foster competition and also to enhance consumer protection, as well as to improve on infrastructure management. So those are the key areas that the amendments have gone into.
Certainly, madam. And I would like to also ask the most pertinent question of this discussion, which is what is the role of a lawyer in the communication sector? So we see, I mean, almost every telecommunication company in Sri Lanka, they have a very versatile legal team working with them. What is their role? Is it any different from the role of any other company? What is their main task? And why do telecommunication companies need such a versatile legal team?
Uh, yes, I think present days context, like there are quite vast number of lawyers in the legal teams. In fact, uh, lawyers contribute in different ways to the telecommunication sector. Uh, you have these traditional legal departments, but other than that, we see in the telecommunication industry, lawyers are involved in HR divisions and also regulatory divisions, and also in of course, as the corporate secretarial office. So in different spheres, their presence is there. Then perhaps subject matters covered, if I may to mention. it's telecommunication companies, telcos have a lot of cross-border transactions. There's the rapid development of the technology. With the rapid development of the technology, there's a lot of investments going in. So invariably, there are procurement of goods and services contracts in place, quite a large number. And also there are other commercial contracts with other the contracts entered with other stakeholders, including interconnection contracts and so on and so forth. Uh, so um, uh, then also there are litigation matters, quite a vast covering quite a vast area, array of litigation matters, um, uh, labor matters, and then the traditional debt recovery matters, then other disputes, and also like it's going up to even the point of fundamental rights applications, because Sri Lanka Telecommunication was largely held by the major stakeholder was the government. So it was amenable to the FR jurisdiction as well. So like in that context, like there's a vast area of work covered, customs matters, then tax issues, then intellectual property rights, and also there are property issues. It's the subject matters are quite vast. So there is definitely a role for the telecommunication sector for the legal professionals. Uh, but I should mention here, it was not the traditional role that we are used to previously. It was mainly focused on our subject matters, and we thought like we are carrying out the traditional role of a lawyer in the telecommunication sector. But it is different. It's like it's no longer working in isolation. We need to work hand in hand with other stakeholders, because in fact the company's objectives are there. Based on the company strategy, we need to align our work and thinking to achieve those objectives hand in hand in collaboration with other stakeholders. As you have pointed out, like it's telecommunication is a technical industry. So there are a lot of engineers. So also quite a number of accountants are there. So uh, when uh, when a legal practitioner is carrying out its role in SLT, it's basically a collaboration, and as a stakeholder, just like others, they are required to carry out their duties. Perhaps that's the role of the lawyer in nutshell.
Certainly, madam. And again, one of the points of this discussion is to encourage young lawyers and law students to seek opportunities in the corporate sector. I would like to ask a personal question from you, madam. So, what you have been a part of Sri Lanka Telecom for a very long time, and you have, risen up the ladder in uh, within the company itself. So I would like to ask you, so after you became a lawyer, what made you join the corporate sector? Or, did you, from your law college, from your university days, did you think that you want to do corporate law, or how did it come about?
Uh, yes, Shara, actually, like when we are studying, we think of this traditional role of a lawyer. Uh, in 1989, when I took oaths, and I was also practicing under a senior lawyer. Um, but then I found out like that's not my role. In fact, I thought like I need to venture into corporate sector and, try out as to what I can do extra. So, but in fact, it's not like, present days. The number of lawyers in the corporate sector was quite minimal. And it was the time like the corporate sector was just opening their doors for legal practitioners. So, anyway, I applied and I first got into a housing bank, and I had a short stint there for about 2.5 years. But then I thought like it was primarily property related matters conveyancing, which was being carried out there. So, so I thought I could do more, and I was looking around for another corporate. So then I got this opportunity of joining Sri Lanka Telecom in 1993. The beauty of it was that was the time that the telecommunication markets around the globe was getting liberalized. Because in prior to 1990s or till early 1990s, telecommunication was a monopoly by the governments. That was the case in most of the countries. So and the countries, all the countries were going in for liberalization, where they bifurcated the role of the regulator from the operator, and operators were issued licenses. So some countries had this, fixed line operator license and mobile operator license. Sri Lanka was also having the same setup. Anyway, in 1991, Sri Lanka Telecommunication Act was formulated. In Sri Lanka also, this liberalization process was taking place. So it was a transitional period in the telecommunication industry. When I joined, and what happened was in 1991, the government set up the corporation called Sri Lanka Telecom, and they transferred the assets and liabilities of the Department of Telecommunication to Sri Lanka Telecom Corporation. So it was also another licensee, a licensed operator to give services. And it was a journey actually for the Sri Lanka Telecom Corporation, because it was made a public company in 1996, where the government held the majority of almost 100% of the shares. And then what happened was in 1997, the government sold a minority stake of the company to a strategic investor, foreign strategic investor. Then from there onwards, it proceeded listing in the Colombo Stock Exchange till 2001. So it was a transitional journey. So I was lucky actually to be a legal officer at that time in that particular company and to witness the transition taking place. It was a good opportunity for a lawyer. So, and I think I stayed there for a long time. Also, another reason was the work which was handled by the telcos. There's a quite variety of work is being handled by the telcos. As I mentioned previously, if you take litigation, it's not confined to one area of litigation. It's quite vast. The field is quite vast. It's the same with commercial contracts as well. So then you have other work, a lot of other work, customs cases, then tax matters, and also another a special feature was under the rapidly growing telecommunication industry, telcos were setting up subsidiaries. So for various segments of their operations, even divestiture was also a key buzzword at that time. They were diversifying their operations as well. So it was a very good time for a lawyer to be involved in telecommunication sector. When you take Sri Lanka Telecom, they set up 2 overseas subsidiaries. So it's quite interesting and a challenge to be involved in setting up of foreign subsidiaries, because the jurisdiction is something strange and something not known to you. So you got to coordinate with other lawyers in those jurisdictions and set up these companies. Uh, so I guess it's a very good opportunity, and I was lucky to be involved in all these matters. Then if I may to mention my journey, as you mentioned earlier, like I was a legal officer there, and then the management basically is very, very generous when it comes to training and development. They believe in training and grooming, young officers. So I got that opportunity as well. And I became a DGM and then general manager legal. And then I climbed up the ladder up to the point of uh, group chief legal officer. And also, I was very lucky to have held certain overseas positions in these subsidiaries, in Hong Kong, one in Hong Kong and one in Singapore. So that gave me a wealth of experience and exposure.
Certainly, madam. And before I move on to the next question, this is a reminder for all the participants. So at the end of the discussion, we have room for your concerns and your questions. So if you have any questions directed at Ms. Sonali Vijayakon, you could post them on the Q&A box so that I could forward this to her. And this program will be also available on YouTube for future viewing. And now, madam, moving on to next question. Now, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm sure that will be really inspiring for all the participants and all those who will be viewing this on YouTube in the future. My question is, um, practicing law in courts comes with certain opportunities and challenges. And in the same way, working in the corporate sector also comes with certain opportunities and challenges. So, if I were to very bluntly ask you, how do you see working in the corporate sector, especially, working in the corporate sector as a young lady lawyer? What are the opportunities available for them? What strengths are there? And then what are the downsides of being a part of the corporate sector?
Yes, that's a very pertinent question, Shara. Actually, opportunities, there are a lot of, I think, opportunities. There's significant number of opportunities available to you in the corporate sector. One I can think of would be the exposure. You get to, apart from going to courts and the court exposure, you're dealing with a lot of external stakeholders. You deal with the regulators. It's not only the telecommunication regulator. It's like you deal with the Consumer Affairs Authority, then BOI, customs. So it's quite a number of authorities and the regulators that you deal with. Then also apart from that, you have so many commercial contracts. So you got to deal with uh, so many external parties, suppliers. Some are based here, some are overseas, and also you come across their legal representatives, and also the key customers, like you tend to go for negotiations. So basically, the exposure that you get in the telecommunication sector as a lawyer would be quite vast. So that's very, very valuable, and it's a big opportunity for a lawyer. And also, the companies, the telcos, usually they believe in training and development. So they provide um, training. You could even be sent for overseas training, conferences, trainings, and also not only overseas, actually, if you go to a local seminar or a conference, you see it's like, more than 75% representation is from the corporate sector. That is because the corporate sector believes in training their staff, so they send their legal professionals to these conferences and seminars. So that is local training. Even in-house training is given because you're not on the key operations. So in order to do your work, you need to be aware as to the operations in the company. You need to align your strategy and your thinking and your work with the operations of the company. So it is important that the company provides you with this knowledge and exposure. So that is another area that you will develop when you are inside especially a telco. Then also, I think they believe in personal development and building teamwork. So even that aspect is covered. So I think it's a very good opportunity for a lawyer who's joining in, because, like, those are the areas, which will be very helpful in your career as well as in your personal development. Then I think another opportunity would be the career progression. Um, you, to an extent, your career progression is guaranteed. I'm not saying it is guaranteed 100%. It'll all depend on basically your performance and seniority. You have to be patient as well. But career, when usually most of these corporates have a recruitment as well as promotional scheme in place. So to an extent, you will not get stagnated. There will be career prospects for you. So but definitely all this will depend on socioeconomic factors internally and externally. However, career progression is guaranteed to an extent. That's what I can say. Um, uh, then also another opportunity would be the recognition that you gain with the brand of your company, your entity. So that's basically, that's very important as you your personal development as well. So that's another plus point. Then yes, the work the work also will give you certain opportunities, like to grow yourself. Now, if you look at the commercial contracts, the dispute resolution mechanism is all mostly arbitration. So there could be foreign arbitrations, even local arbitrations, that gives you somewhat of a exposure. So even like these overseas subsidiaries and working in them, or setting them up, and even business meetings, those are, you can consider them as opportunities to grow yourself and to grow your career. Another aspect I think I need to mention, like all these telcos have mergers, acquisitions, liquidations, so many things. That's also an area that you can, like it'll be new to a lawyer, and like it'll be good for a young lawyer to be involved in. So you get all these opportunities uh, for yourself uh, with with the uh, with the chance of grooming yourself.
Certainly, madam. And there's one matter which I think we discussed in few of our previous webinars as well. Now, when you look at the Colombo University or the Sri Lanka Law College, what we can see is about 60 to 70% are young girls who are studying in the faculty of law or the law college. But when you walk into a courtroom, it's mostly uh, men we see. You know, it's very rarely do we see, girls or female lawyers working, especially in the original courts, and it comes down to about 20%. But I think it's a bit different in the corporate sector. What is your take on more females joining the corporate sector? Because I mean, some lawyers say that it's much easier to work in the corporate sector because they have fixed our working hours, and other perks like maternity leave, etc., etc. In comparison to working in the private bar.
Uh, yes, actually, in corporate sector, there's a lot of female lawyers. Uh, they have joined. In fact, like the male lawyers are, I think the numbers are quite less. I guess yes, I think the reason behind it is, like in the corporate sector, they have all these, like concepts of equality. Those are very prominently there. They adopt policies and regulations in this respect, and the policies would address that regardless of your gender, that you are afforded equal opportunities, and also the fair affording fair treatment, and also like affording access to resources and rewards equally. So that's, I think, that must be a drawing factor for the lady lawyers to join these companies. Also, I think, as you very correctly mentioned, it is an office job. You have set um, office hours, as opposed to a lady lawyer who's working in a chamber where the consultations would go deep into the night. So I think, as opposed to that, lady lawyers prefer set working hours, but there are of course exceptions, because if these corporates also have their deadlines, you need to align with those deadlines. So you may be called upon, like based on the exigencies of services, to work extra hours deep into the night, and then like also work over a weekend or a holiday. Those are exceptions, but that is not on everyday basis. So I suppose like lady lawyers prefer that. That is one reason they join the corporates. And also, I think, I don't know whether this is a drawback. You have, the working days as well. So, as opposed to a court practitioner where you can take the days off, supposing you have little work, or the court vacation, your only entitlement would be your leave entitlement to stay away from work. So uh, uh, that, I suppose, like somebody could you know uh, think in the negative aspect also. However, like anyway, it's more streamlined for when it comes to corporate sector. So perhaps for ladies, like it must be female lawyers, it must be quite an attraction. As you very correctly pointed out, for corporates which are under this maternity benefits ordinance and Shop and Office Act, they will be afforded maternity leave, that is like maternity leave of 84 working days. So that will be afforded, like that will be you'll get the pay for that. That's a leave. And also I think they are afforded nursing hours. Yes, nursing hours as well. 1 hour per each day. Nursing intervals are given. So that's also a statutory provision. So those are basically, factors which the lady lawyers would take into consideration, and a factor that will encourage them to join the corporates.
Certainly, madam. I'll just go for a small extension to that question.
Mhm.
Now, these days, everyone is talking about work-life balance and, juggling between your work and your home, your family, your children, your parents, your friends, your social life, so on and so forth. Um, what is it like working in the corporate sector and, maintaining your work-life balance?
Uh, yes, I think that's quite an interesting question. Um, when it comes to corporates, they encourage the work-life balance, to maintain the work-life balance for its employees. So I think after COVID, especially, like this new trend came in where work from home became very popular. So even now, there are certain corporates which exercise that. They have, like they may get down their staff only uh, 1 day per each week or something like that. It varies. So uh, in most of the companies, some of the companies that is still there. So that is one way of balancing the work life, any disparity and constraints there. Uh, and also, I suppose uh, there are certain corporates which requires your employees to get leave, and they pay for that, for taking leave also. Uh, so your annual leave. So there are, like there are exceptions, uh, to this, having set hours, for that, to make uh, to encourage to have a work-life balance for employees, including ladies, females in employment.
Certainly. And now, madam, I think this question would, be very interesting for a lot of our participants who are joining in today. Now, you were the chief legal officer at SLT Mobitel, and I'm sure you must have sat through a lot of interviews where you interviewed uh, prospective applicants for not only illegal jobs but also, different positions at your company. So my question is, when you look at an applicant who is from a legal background, who wants to join the corporate sector, what do you look at? Do you only focus on his or her education qualifications, or what additional professional or educational qualifications do you look at? And do you also look at other attributes which is required?
Uh, well, first of all, when it comes to recruitments, it all depends on the company policy. Uh, Usually, the corporates have a recruitment policy, and they will decide on the entry level. So definitely you need to have your basic qualifications. And I know certain corporates, when they are trying to interview in new intakes, they have this requirement of attorneys as well as LLB. There are certain corporates who require that. So it depends on their company policy. And also the post qualifying experience is also another factor which will go under that policy. So, rather than taking somebody who's just passed out, they look for post qualifying experience as well. So it'll depend whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. That will be based on their policy. And in addition to that, I'm sure, if I'm in the interview board, I will look for lawyers who is conversant in commercial contracts, because all of us have the exposure and experience in court work. But when it comes to telcos, there are a lot of significant number of commercial contracts, and that's a specialized area. You need to have, a knack for it. So appetite for it. So we look for candidates who have done commercial contracts. So it's always good for a young lawyer if you are an aspirant for the telecommunication industry. You try to get this exposure. That's very interesting, and also it'll be very advantageous. Also, if you have done arbitrations, that is also good, because that's the dispute resolution mechanism adapted under the commercial contracts. But more than anything, vetting commercial contracts and drafting, if you have at least little experience, that will go a long way. You talked about qualifications, Shahara. In fact, yes, qualifications along the line where the subjects covered are like international trade law, or it's company law, IT law, arbitration law, even labor law. If there's a LLM, that's good. Yes, that will be advantageous. Even an MBA, Master of Business Administration. Most of the corporates are interested in taking candidates with MBAs. Also, computer literacy is a must. I think that's not a problem for present days lawyers, because they are quite conversant and quite computer literate. And also another area that I could think of would be PMP certification, project management certification, because there are a lot of projects that you manage, and there are in telcos, PMP certification would be of added advantage. Also, at the point of recruitment, we are interested in taking multifaceted, uh, young entrants. So that will be advantageous. It will be advantageous if you have other qualifications like in accountancy or tax, even HR qualifications. That will be an added advantage. Then your skill set, actually, that's what matters the most, I suppose. You need to have proper skill set. Language skills is a must. That, of course, because you can't work in a telco without the proper language skills. So that's that's an area a young person would be able to develop on without a problem. And also, even presentation skills is also something very important that will be even tested at an interview. Supposing you're coming for an interview in a telco, your presentation skills need to be good. Those are skills that you can develop on. And also interpersonal skills, because you're not working in isolation when you're in a corporate. So it is very important that you have interpersonal skills as well. Then negotiation skills, uh, even analytical skills, because to handle corporate contracts, you need proper analytical skills. So those you need to cultivate. So even research skills, like whenever you come across a lot of new areas when you're handling matters, so those would be the proper skill set that you need to cultivate. um, yes, I think those would be the things that we look into when we are trying to uh, take a person new. And also, like, it's very important that you project a picture where you have adaptability, flexibility, and resilience. So, like, any company would be happy to take you if you have those virtues.
Certainly, madam. And I would also like to maybe this question is also an extension to the earlier question. Now, I think a lot of lawyers who are already in the corporate sector and a lot of lawyers who are contemplating whether they should get into the corporate sector might be worried that they might be stagnant in whatever position they apply to, and their a primary concern would be how do they climb up the corporate ladder? How do they ensure that they have steady career growth or career advancement? Is something I think a lot of lawyers who are in the corporate sector and who wants to get into the corporate sector are worried about. Now, you, madam, you have joined Sri Lanka Telecom, and then you have risen to the very top of in the legal section of Sri Lanka Telecom. Are there any tips? I would say, very bluntly, are there any tips or are there any advisors or any secrets you would like to share with these young lawyers who might be in the corporate sector or who wants to get into the corporate sector about how can they successfully climb up the corporate ladder? How do they ensure that their career development is progressive?
Uh, yes, Shihara, I think uh, it's quite uh, extremely competitive at the moment. Even to get into the corporate sector, like when there's an advertisement, you see a large number of applications coming in. So it is quite competitive to get in. And also, I think after you get in, also it is competitive to rise up. The competition is, something that you have from your own professional colleagues, and also it is sometimes from outside the profession, because now what I see is, like, I'm in a uh, organization where there's a large number of engineers uh, who are employed. So I see so many engineers with law degrees. So I see that as a big challenge, um, because since they have the operational knowledge plus knowledge on law, that's a deadly combination. And it's a big challenge for lawyers in the sector. So it can come from your own profession, outside the profession. And also sometimes there are certain positions, like, the senior positions. When it comes to the senior positions, the company has a policy. They advertise internally along with external candidates. So you got to compete within your own colleagues in the company, as well as outside colleagues in the industry. So it is like that. The challenges, there will be a lot of challenges of that nature. However, I think I need to mention, like, you need to have adaptability, flexibility. These are, very big words in corporate sector, because you have to prove yourself. You have to earn your positions. So, your employer is also watching you. They will be providing you the necessary trainings and skills development programs. However, you got to prove that and you have got to earn your position. So how to earn this would be through showing that you're very adaptable, because you have to, when you pass out from law college or law faculty, you are coming out with a different mindset. It's quite different. Like, the corporate world is quite different. Not like a legal practitioner who is going to courts and handling everything on his own. When you get into the corporate sector, it's teamwork. So it's how flexible you are to adapt to that condition, and go hand in hand with these company strategies, company goals, objectives, all these things. Because it's not only your target or your goal, it's somebody else's goal as well. You may not think it in that along that line, but if you look at the business, now if you take a telco, uh, the business divisions will be providing the services. However, for them to provide the service, from the legal, I need to do the procurement contracts to procure these, services and goods for them to provide the service. So unless I am not mindful of their targets and align my targets with theirs, the business will suffer. So it's basically, it's teamwork. And also flexibility. Flexibility matters a lot. So uh, in like now in corporate world, like, you have to align your strategies along with the strategies of the corporate. So like, there will be definitely you have to do your work based on the ambit of law. However, like, there may be times where you need to say no, but you need to come up with a proper risk analysis and come up with reasons. And also, if you to suggest a solution. So that's what the employer is expecting from you. The board of directors will be expecting that from you. It's not a straight no. So that is where your flexibility will come in. You got to be very, very uh, careful not to step outside the ambit of law, because you may know that, like, all these companies are under scrutiny, right? So, like, one step outside, out of line, you will be called to CID. So it is, you got to be, as a legal professional, you got to be really careful. However, you got to have that, balance in you to, do your work based on the requirement of the company, plus to be flexible and to be within the law. So that's another secret, actually, like, if you want to be successful in your career. And other thing would be, I suppose, like, uh, it's it's uh, uh, it's a changing world. Telcos are rapidly changing. The technology is changing. Then the laws and regulations change from time to time. Then also your company strategies would change. So, like, you got to be abreast with all these changes, and you have to be part of it. So I suppose, like, those would be the things you have to be mindful if you're already in the sector, or even if you're going to join the sector. Those are the um, things to be mindful of.
Certainly, madam. And I think with that, we will have to conclude today's session as we have run out of time. So once again, we are more than happy. I would like to thank on behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Ms. Sonali Vijayakon for sharing her wealth of knowledge. And like I said at the beginning, I think the telecommunications industry will in fact be a significant portion of each and every aspect of life in the near future. And today, even this webinar series, we had to the Bar Association actually started the webinar series right after COVID hit, when physical seminars were a bit impossible. But now it has become the norm that we conduct a certain number of webinars. So in that context, I think there would be more demand for legal professionals in the telecommunications industry, and obviously from there'll be more demand from the corporate sector in general, but certainly from the telecommunications industry. And your experience and what you shared, I'm sure, would inspire so many young lawyers and law students who are waiting to get into the industry. So thank you, madam, for sharing your insights. Thank you for sharing your personal story also with us. And I am happy to be here interviewing you. And I would like to hand over the floor to our compere today.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Shahara.
Thank you very much to you too.
Thank you, Shahara. This brings us to the end of episode 7 of the webinar series on why corporate sector. I thank our esteemed guests, Ms. Sonali Vijayakorn and Mr. Shahar Herat, for a fruitful and educational discussion and for dedicating your time to be here with us and sharing your insights. I thank the Bar Association of Sri Lanka's Webinars and Legal Symposiums Committee for their dedication and hard work in organizing this insightful webinar. And last but not least, I would like to thank all of you who have joined in for this session today through various platforms. Thank you, and I hope you all have a good night.